Ciao tutti, this is Katia and welcome back to another video. So as you can hear, there's construction going on the other side of the house and it's right beside me. So we'll just have to deal with it and I'm so sorry about that. Today I'm gonna do something really new for my channel. Last year I've started regaining my love for books and I've been reading a lot. And I thought of doing a dedicated video about all the books that I liked and didn't like from all the ones that I read last year. So last year I read a total of 51 books. I'm so happy and that's a lot of books for me, and I started like really going hardcore into reading during I think July. So if I only started earlier, I might have catched, you know, that 100 goal. But anyway, at least I started. It came to that number only because I've read a lot of series, and you know how series tend to become. They have a lot of books. So that's how I ended up getting, you know, the 51 mark. So I have here my notes. Okay, so yeah, I'll look at my bookmark. I like big books and I cannot lie. So I have here the top 5. I'm just gonna pop right here a picture of whatever I'm talking about. I like reading NA, New Adult, YA, Young Adult, and romances, contemporary romances, novels, and I tend to steer away from non-fiction. It's just so hard for me to get into self-help books. If that's what you're looking for, I don't think this is the video for you. So if I'm more of like fantasy, romance gal, there you go. That's all my disclaimer, guys. That's it. So I'm gonna start. The first book, this is in no particular order. They're just in the order that I've read them. One of my top 5 is actually It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, which talks about Piper Bellinger, who knows? And she's a high society influencer and she goes to a lot of parties, and it's like she doesn't have a direction in her life. She parties a lot, and then she made an error one night and her stepfather made her go back to their hometown, the hometown of their mother. And then there she meets our male lead, which is Brendan. Brendan is a captain of a boat, also he's a fisherman. This is NA, so it's a new adult romance. The trope here, you know, it's the sunshine meets grumpy vibes, and this is actually a contemporary romance. A really good book by Tessa Bailey. Honestly, I like her books, but this one just really stood out to me. Even though it's in the third point of view, so it's quite weird, you know, reading it from a distance. Not everyone can like third point of view. It can be a little bit intimidating to read it, but it was really well written and I really recommend it. It's not that heavy, it's not long, and you can read it in 2 days. It's gone. The second book that I recommend to you guys is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and this one talks about Bree Prescott. She's just graduated and there's a backstory. I'm not gonna say what happened there, but she just wanted to get away from that city because it kept reminding her of the thing that happened. And then she went to another state and that's where she stayed so that she has a quieter life. And there she meets our male lead, which is Archer Hale. And Archer is very special because he doesn't speak to anyone, doesn't communicate with anyone. Bree and Archer are gonna meet, and that's where the story is gonna unfold with all the drama, the backstory, and you're gonna learn more about them. And the good thing about this book, it's written in a dual point of view. So you have the point of view of Bree, and then some chapters are of the point of view of Archer Hale, which honestly, I really appreciate that kind of format because it makes me understand more about one person and the other. It's just not one-sided the way you see things. It's really nice, and this one is also an NA, so it's a new adult romance, and I really like it. The trope here is more of like, no one can understand me but you. Quite literally. Up next, we have, okay, this one, you guys. I love this one so much. It's From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. And this one is a young adult romance. So it's about two figure skaters, Jasmine Santos and Ivan Lukov, and their rivalry, and they always do pairs and something happens. So this one, as you can expect from Mariana Zapata, is a very slow burn romance, and it's a enemies to lover trope, and you know, rivalry, so there's a lot of angst, and the first 150 chapters can be a little bit draggy. You're like, how long is this gonna take? Because Mariana Zapata books are really thick, so they're like something like this. Totally worth it. After reading it, I couldn't read another book. It stayed on my mind for quite a while, let me tell you that. I totally recommend From Lukov with Love. I really don't know what next book from Mariana Zapata I should read, because I don't feel like there's gonna be a book that's gonna top this one. So, you know, the fourth book can come as a surprise, but it's actually the third book from a series, which is Covet, from the Crave series written by Tracy Wolff. And this one I stumbled upon while I was in quarantine, and I wanted to read something like, you know, Twilight vibes. And I haven't really seen this one a lot anywhere, not even in Book Talk, and it's really underrated. Although I know that the first book was kind of sloppy, it wasn't really written that well, and it's hard to get used to a fantasy romance wherein it puts a lot of pop culture references. So there's like a little bit of Harry Styles in it. I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna push through this series, and thankfully I did, because then I found the third book, which is Covet, and it's totally worth the first two books, and it pulled so many strings, you know, my heart just felt a lot of emotions. I couldn't stop. I was fixated on this book. I devoured it, I think that's the word. I finished the 3 books in 4 days. That's how intense it went. Really love the plot twist here. I'm not gonna say what it is, but you guys should just find out. So this one is actually a young adult romance, and it's fantasy. It can be really cringy at first, honestly, I have to admit. By no means is it similar to Twilight. Maybe at the first part of the first book, but that's it. After that, it's a whole new world. A whole new world. Yeah, last but not the least, this one I think has a lot of hype around it, and you see, look, I totally understand it. And what I'm talking about is A Court of Mist and Fury. Surprise! Yeah, this one, the second book, was amazing. I wish I could read it again for the first time. It's like the Covet book. It was really good. I love the world building, how everything went on with the plot and all that. It's really worth the read, so you guys should check it out. A Court of Mist and Fury is written by Sarah J. Maas. It's the second book from ACOTAR, and I really like it a lot. It talks about fairy and Tamlin in this second book. I'm not gonna talk too much about this because I think you need to read the first book, of course, or else you're not gonna get the gist of this one. But yeah, this is totally worth reading, and I think if you read this one, you can stop at this one. All the angst, all the story, the drama is all in this book, so you guys have to check it out. And last honorable mention, this is, I didn't give it a 5-star, so all that I've mentioned, I've given them 5-star, but this one, I don't know. I don't know if it's a 5-star or a 4-star, because after reading it, I was like, what did I just read? And the book that I'm talking about is Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. If you see right there. Okay, let me get it. It's just like, I'm in a tight space. Wait, let me just get it. This one is a book that it can trigger a lot of people, so you might check on the trigger warnings. But this one is pure fiction. I think this falls into the NA category. It's a new adult. This one is magical realism, but out of all Haruki Murakami's book, this one is the least one that has magical realism into it. It has 2 chapters about it and that's it, but you can't really feel that it's magical realism. It's quite a short book, so you can finish this one easily. It smells so good. Anyway, this one is weird. I don't know how I felt after reading this one. I was like, huh. This was actually given to me by LG's sister, Trisha. Thank you. I read this one, I think, September already, so it was within the vibes because there was time that it was raining. It was perfect. You should totally read this if you're new to Murakami. I think this was a great book to get started with Murakami. After this one, I actually read The Brick of a Book, 1Q84, given to me by my sister. Thank you so much. So that one wasn't that good, but yeah, it's quite a lot to take in, honestly. 1Q84. Okay, we are now going to the 5 least books that I liked last year, and one of those I actually DNF'd. This 5 didn't make it for me. They were maybe overhyped or they weren't the genre for me. This one, 100 Years of Solitude. I'm really sorry that I didn't like this one. I wasn't actually able to finish it. Like, I read until page 148. Didn't even get to finish the chapter. I mean, that's great for me because I usually bookmark something after a chapter, but this one it was really hard for me to read. This is really magical realism, and this is how I saw that Murakami, the way he wrote magical realism, made it so much easier to read, whereas this one, it was really hard for me to cope with, especially since all the characters had similar names. They all started with Jose, and one thing about me is that I'm very bad with names, so it's hard for me, even though there's like a chart here, but they're all almost the same name. There's Jose, Arcadio, Aureliano, Arcadio, and anyway, it's not for me. Maybe I will read it after a few years, but for now, this one for me was a letdown. I mean, I understand it's a Nobel Prize winner. I totally get that. It's why at the first place I wanted to read it and didn't do it for me, and I wish I didn't read it. So the next book that I'm gonna talk about, I think I'm gonna get a lot of hate. The next 2 books, or maybe 3 books. So this one is actually unpopular opinion, but I don't think it's as good as people say it is. And what I'm talking about is the On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. And this one is a new adult romance, is actually contemporary, and it has the enemies to lover trope, and it talks about Olive, and then Ethan is actually the brother of the guy that the sister of Olive is getting married to. Anyway, they hate each other, and in the end everyone gets poisoned, but Olive and Ethan did not because they didn't eat the buffet. In the end, they were the ones who took the honeymoon on the behalf of their siblings. So there's close proximity, and then that yada yada. I think what totally killed this book was the last part. I'm not gonna say, but the way he did what he did, it could have been better. The standard is way too low. I didn't like it, so big no. So next one, another unpopular opinion. This one is really hyped on Book Talk. It's People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. And this one, I'm sorry, this one, I didn't like it. It's about Alex and Poppy. They're friends. They always go on trips together, but they keep on saying they're platonic. In the end, they aren't, so it's like miscommunication, I think. Both of them didn't want to cross the line. Anyway, that's it. I'm not gonna spoil too much. And yeah, I didn't like it. It was too draggy for me. Not for me. So that's all I'm gonna say. Next up is another book that is very popular on Book Talk. You know what? I shouldn't trust Book Talk. Or maybe yes. because I met Risand from Akotar. He's the best. I'm just gonna say that. Risand, we love him. And I love Hudson. Anyway, so here my fourth one is the Shatter Me series by Tahayari Mafi. And actually, I really like the book 3 of this one. So the book 3, I gave it a 5-star. I didn't mention it because after reading the whole series, I think there are like 9 books. And it's a lot. And I mean, I love the male character here. But you end up loving him on book 3, not on book 1, book 2, and book 1, book 2. You're greeted with another male lead. I think it was too draggy. Shatter Me series there's too many books. I don't know why I actually finished everything, but by the time I was reading Imagine Me, I think, I was like scrolling, skipping through it, so done with it. And so I only continued this one because of the male lead. I mean, Aaron. And lastly is the Zodiac Academy. This one I stopped reading after book 4, I think. This one is a bully romance. It's an NA. It's not for me, the bullying. So many trigger warnings here. So yeah, I think that's all the books that actually I really liked last year and the books that I didn't really like. So let me know your thoughts and opinions about them. If you agree with me, disagree with me, you know, I'm totally okay with that. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. And I really enjoyed doing this video talking about something that has really changed my life, because I've been reading a lot and I'm more at peace with myself, especially now that I have a job. I look forward to even finishing work at 1 AM. I would still read some chapters or like for 1 hour, and it's part of me now. I cannot stop reading and I love it so much. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys liked this new kind on my channel. Let me know if you want more of this, what book I should read or review about. Let me know. So that's it for this episode of Katia Reads. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, ciao! Arrivederci!